What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of Dangle Bet Selly, powered by FTN Bets, Points Bet Canada, right here on Game Plus Network. Also live on our FTN Network YouTube page. Chris Meaney and Eric Young here with you. The Eric Young on the Twitter machine. By now, you know, at Chris Meaney myself. If you're watching live on our FTN Network YouTube page, smash the like button. We do appreciate you. If you could rate, review, subscribe on iTunes and Spotify, we would love you for that. It would do us a huge solid. It'd help people find the show and maybe keep us around. 5-star rate and review, or else EY is going to smack you upside the head. I'm kidding. I just found out he's never been in a real fight before. He told me that on Set Bet Spike. Never been in a real fight, but I'll tell you what, you don't want to get in the ring with EY. It'll ruin your hopes and dreams. I'm just kidding. You're a big teddy bear.
Look at the size of my head and my neck. Like, you go to a bar, you don't choose me. You choose somebody else. Like, even if you win on points, you're never going to win the fight because you can't physically injure me. I'm invincible.
That I believe. Dustin in the house. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Dustin. We only have 2 games on the slate today, so I understand maybe people not really caring about this episode, but we have some people hanging out with us live. We do appreciate. We got the tweet from the great Shayna Goldman of The Athletic, the retweet. We think she's fantastic.
The wizard.
We were just talking in the green room that we would love to have her on the show. I've had her on Mean Streets a couple times. She really is an unbelievable writer and hockey mind over at The Athletic and Sportsnet, multiple things. And yes, Dustin, this is what we kind of want to do here today. We're going to roll through the 2 games on the slate. It's the Habs and the Sabres, and then the Rangers and the Kings. So really not a lot to talk about. We'll talk about that, though. I also have a couple things I wanted to share with you, courtesy of Natural Stat Trick. I want to take a look at the expected goal leaders at 5-5 and where they actually rank. The expected goals against leaders, the teams are giving up a ton. So this is what helps us, when we're looking at shot props and we're looking at goal props, we're looking at teams that give up a lot. We'll take a look at the high danger leaders in the NHL for and against. The teams that give up, a majority of the goals happen inside the slot. So we take a look at the teams that give up the most chances inside the slot at 5-5 per 60, and the most teams that the teams that create the most at 5-5 per 60, according to our friends over at Natural Stat Trick. We can dive into shot attempts and things like that. Then take a sneak peek at the schedule. It's a different week, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays. You guys are well aware. It's usually like 10, 12 games, 13 games to talk about. We hardly have time to get it all in. And just with Thanksgiving happening in the States this Thursday, no games on Thursday, so no Dangle Bet Selly on Thursday this week. But EY is going to join me on Mean Streets tomorrow for a few minutes to talk about a couple hockey games tomorrow. But we will dive in an early look at the schedule. Of course, we're not going to have any odds or goal scoring odds or things like that, but we can just talk about what we like in those games. And of course, if you guys have any new fantasy hockey questions, season-long stuff, by all means, leave them there. If you're watching the replay, leave them in the comment section. Always circling back on these videos to take care of you fine folks. Daily Handle in the house. Let's go. Daily Handle, what's your favorite hockey future? Love to hear from you guys, your favorite hockey future. We're about a quarter way through the season, right? American Thanksgiving is a benchmark for not only me and taking a look at buy low and sell high players. That's the time of the year where if you're not really doing it on my roster and you're a bubble player, we're 6-7 weeks into the season now. I have no problem kind of cutting loose. But also it's a really good sample size, I feel like, for teams. GMs talk about it a lot. If you're not in the playoff bubble come this time of the season, maybe it's time to resell. But it's a good time of the year, I think, UI, to not hit reset, but I'd say we're 1/4 of the way through the NHL schedule. So we got a pretty good sample of who's legit and who's not. And the New Jersey Devils won another game last night. They seem absolutely legit, EY.
Dude,
the Devils.
That's my favorite future, is one that I already bet on, and that was at the start of the year. And that was for the New Jersey Devils to play for the Stanley Cup. And the odds were insane. I'd have to go back and find it. But I definitely put
probably like 60 to 1 or something. I know they were hanging around 40 to 1.
I put not life altering, but I will be doing very well financially if that hits. And right now, it's a real possibility.
It is. They're currently 17 to 1 over at FanDuel to win the Stanley Cup. They're 11 to 1 on DraftKings. You probably missed out on most of the value there when it comes to the New Jersey Devils. Do you you obviously think that they're legitimate Stanley Cup contenders. I still don't know, but they've made me change my tune on them for sure. They're getting some goaltending. They're playing really good 5-5. They're deep down the middle. They got a lot of underrated defensive squads. Here it is here
Yeah.
from Network. So they've won 13 straight. They opened up at 100-1 to win the Stanley Cup. Now 13-1. Yeah, at Caesars. Crazy stuff. You think they're legitimate?
I mean, I think the eye test tells me they're legitimate. And what also tells me they're legitimate is look at the numbers. Like we're going to go through some of that stuff later. We got some boards and stuff that showing high danger chances and expected scoring and stuff like that. Like they're in the top 5 in every category that matters to me. That means that they're really doing it. This is not a fluke. Like we've seen this in the NHL in the past, like teams that are, analytically and statistically are just bottom of the league and they're somehow winning games and some crazy goaltender or they're getting all the bounces or whatever. That is not the New Jersey Devils are playing really, really good hockey, both sides of the puck. And there's over time, they've acquired a bunch of really good players. Nico Hischier, first-round draft pick. Jack Hughes, first-round draft pick. Jesper Bratt is having a career season. Saragovich, Mercer, Daniel Severson, Dougie Hamilton's an absolute force on the back end. And like you said, getting okay goaltending, and that's all that matters. This team is the real deal. I mean, get on board now or be left behind.
They beat some good teams over this 13-game winning streak. They tied their franchise high, I believe, with that 13th win. And so they'll go for the record, I believe, against the Maple Leafs tomorrow. So they beat the Leafs during this run. They beat the Oilers twice, the Flames twice. They beat the Avs earlier. Just some mediocre teams during this run, whatever. They're still playing really, really, really good hockey. ESPN Stats and Info tweeted this out an hour ago. New Jersey's 13-game win streak is the longest all time by an NHL team that had a points percentage below 400 the previous season. The Devils had the 5th worst record in the NHL last season, with a 0.384 points percentage. So a massive turnaround for the New Jersey Devils. They're not on the schedule tonight, though. We will get underway here with a matchup at the Bell Center between the Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres. Oh, I thought this was at the Bell Center. My bad. Yeah, it is at the Bell Center. It is at the Bell Center. So I may have give this a little to Fox wrong. But nonetheless, the odds have changed a little bit. We have the Habs at -110. If you want to back them, you can back them over at DraftKings at that price. And you have the Sabres checking in at +102 over at BetRivers. So we've seen a little bit of a flip-flop here, and we can flip-flop Suzuki to the right for all the old school people out there that want to have that home team on the right and then the Buffalo Sabres on the left. I don't know how you don't get involved with Cole Caulfield and Tage Thompson at this point in this game. And these two volume shooters, their odds are both juiced. -148 at BetRivers for Caulfield to have 4 shots. -143 at BetRivers for Tage Thompson to have 4 shots. I would lean with Thompson over Caulfield at Bet365. I already placed a bet for both of these guys in the same game parlay to have 4 shots each at +155. Tage Thompson has been absolutely just, man, this guy is a freak. He looks so good. He's just a big body playing with a ton of confidence. We've talked about him so much. I don't even really know what else to say. Like we defended the contract last year when he signed the contract. We just liked the breakout season. He was all over the fantasy hockey draft kit, like all over it. As a guy that was getting drafted, Yahoo had this guy outside the top 100 in their rankings. He's like a top 10 fantasy hockey player at the moment. He's got 12 goals. He's got 22 points. Listen to the shots that this guy has rattled off over the past couple games. 9, 6, 6, 4, 8, 4. That's 6 straight games where he's had at least 4 shots. And in 1, 2, 3, 4 of those games, he's had at least 6. And 2 of them, he's had at least 8. And it's not even the first or second time this season where he's had 8 shots in a game. You know how many times he's had 8 shots in a game, EY? 1,
how many?
2, 3, 4, 5 times in a game this season. This guy has had 8 shots in a hockey game. He should be at 4.5 at -143. I think he has 4 again.
Good like first line players, sometimes they could get 8 shots in a week. It could take him a week to get that many shots, and he's doing it per game.
Like 10 attempts.
Mathematically, I love that. Eye test, like watching him, he's stripping pucks and deacon through the whole team, scoring shorthanded goals too, which, seeing him play on the penalty kill means like defensively, they trust him and he's all over it. What a player. I mean, we vehemently backed this guy when they signed that contract. I think a lot of people, more casual people, or people that don't really follow the NHL, they're like, oh man, Buffalo Sabres at it again, paying a guy that's not worth that money. Yeah. So they look like geniuses. We look like geniuses. And what else is
new? Who's scoring in this game? What do you think?
I'm in lockstep with this. It's mathematics, which is not my strong suit, in case you're wondering. But yeah, I got Caulfield and Tage, and then Tuck and Doc. Doc has been off the score sheet in the goals position for a little bit. He's plus 265. He's still playing on that line with Suzuki and Caulfield, still playing power play time. He's due for one. This is going to be a good game, though, man. I mean, there's only 2 games, but I think I'm really interested in both of them. And yes, I will watch both of them.
Of course. Yeah, you're true psycho. Do you have a lean on either side? I kind of like the Habs at home. Jake Allen has not been playing really good. He's been playing awful, actually, in between the pipes. But the Canadians are hanging around, man. They can score. They're giving up some goals. They play to a lot of overs. The Sabres haven't played all that great, I don't think, to start the season. They're basically a one-line team. Rasmus Dahlin has been fantastic, but I got to lean to Montreal on home ice here.
Yeah, I think just they're playing at home. Like you said, the goaltending has got to get better for Montreal if they want to be competitive. I made a terrible move and played that. I can't remember who they were playing. They're playing a bottom team, and I was like, "Oh,
I'll play Blue Jackets," and you played Montembeau. I did the same thing at points. Like, it didn't work out well for me at all.
I got submarined. I ended up winning the week. I ended up winning the week, but I'm thinking that the Columbus Blue Jackets have 600 injured players, and Johnny Gaudreau can't do everything. But apparently, him and Boone Jenner and Roslovic and a bunch of other players that I don't even know somehow got it done that night, and so they scored 6 or 7 goals, and that was bad. I still won the matchup, but that really submarined me. But yeah, it's I think Montreal wins this, but I think it's a good game, and Buffalo could beat anybody, man. They've proven this season that they've got that line, and I think Jeff Skinner still hasn't found his last season stride. He was shooting the puck last year, so they've got another gear yet. Casey Middlestad has been up and down, but I really like him. Tuck is starting to put it together, mustache power, and I like Tuck to score tonight, plus 190.
There you go. There's a good one. So just to kind of, Tage and Cole are really juiced. I still like them. I like Tage more than Cole. Tage has had at least 4 shots in 10 of his last 12, and Cole has had at least 4 shots in 7 of his last 9. And again, for those that could play Bet365 or same game parlay stuff, to take both of those guys at plus 155 for 4 shots. Also, maybe an opportunity to get in on assists. I know we're talking about them as volume shooters, and usually these volume shooters, if I think they're going to get 4 shots, I think they have a decent chance of getting a goal. I think they're both in play for an anytime goal. But there's a little bit of value for them when it comes to an assist as well. Tage Thompson's plus 148 for an assist. He's got 10 apples on the year. And then Cole Caulfield's plus 126 for assist. But you like Kirby Dach to score, which I think I like the call. He's also sitting at minus 134 for 2 shots. It's not something he does consistently. He doesn't shoot a lot. He did play the Sabres a few weeks ago. He wasn't on that top line. He had 2 shots. He also had 2 shots in his last game. He's had 2 shots in 3 of his last 6. It's not super appealing, but there's not a lot of action to be had tonight. But he's plus money for an assist. This is something I think I'll take, actually. Maybe more so than Cole. Just feel like maybe Cole will score and then Dach will get an assist. Kirby Dach's got 4 assists in his last 4 games, and he's got 7 assists over his last 7 games, up to 12 assists on the season. His ice time just continues to increase, EY. 19 to 20 to 21 his last couple of games. And I don't know how much you want to talk about this top line, because I think we've bored people enough to death, but there's only 2 games to talk about. But this top line in Montreal, did you see the finish in Philadelphia? The pass from Suzuki over to Caulfield. These 2 guys, it's like they played with each other for 20 years in the NHL. the way that they move the puck around with each other. It's really fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, like if you don't look at any of the numbers, any of the analytics, you just watch them play. Like there's something happening there, especially with Suzuki and Caulfield. Like that was like a marriage made in heaven. Really, like two players that obviously not a ton of size between the two of them. So having Kirby Dach there is a benefit as a guy that can get in on the forecheck and use his big body to shield the puck and start things down there. Caulfield could carry it. Suzuki can carry it. He's got crazy vision. Pass first guy. Caulfield loves shooting, as you said. You mean like he loves to shoot. And Dach is a perfect complement to them. The way they've structured that line and put that line together and three young guys. So that's going to be a real problem for teams for years and years for Montreal.
Well, Cole Caulfield is tied for 7th in the league in goals, and Suzuki's tied for 13th in the league in points. So, I mean, both of those guys are playing really good. It's not like we're just sitting here being straight homers on this show on my part. But Caulfield's got 11 goals. Thompson's got 12. McDavid has got 16. Bo Horvat again last night, scored his 15th goal, and Jason Robertson picked up 2 goals last night. Robertson, all that guy does is fill the net, 14 goals and 15 assists on the season. So both of those top guys are having a really good start to the season in Caulfield and Suzuki. And I would not be selling high in either of them. But, since we have a little bit of time, I can do these point parlays. So I just want to share some stuff. So I think some other books are starting to get involved with these point parlays, but I wanted to share a couple from last night and kind of transition to tonight. So last night I put in Jesper Bratt and Hughes to get a point at -115. It hit. Thomas, Kyra, and Buchnevich, who are playing together on a line. Got lucky with that one. Buchnevich had an assist on an empty net goal. That was +190. That hit. Forsberg and Yossi, your boys, together just to have a point, +100. Had Lindholm and Toffoli, which did not work out. Had DeBrincat and Giroux, which did not work out, but had Eichel, Stone, and Stevenson last night in the matchup against the Canucks at +190. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 same game parlays just with points that were put into the tracker. And we hit 4 of them. And then we'll put another one in the tracker this morning with Cole Caulfield, Tage Thompson at +155. I always have to double check with the Sabres with their lines, but they have the trio back together, right? The band, Dach, Thompson, and Skinner. Yes. So that is an option as well. I think, okay, let me just walk through this. So I gave you the shot prop one with Thompson and Cole at +155. And then I would take points. So Dach, Suzuki. Oh, Suzuki's at 1.5. They've caught on. They've caught on. He's away now. So this is a little bit more dangerous. Caulfield and Dach, just those two guys. Or if you wanted to take Thompson, Skinner, and Tuck, +250 for that line to have a point tonight, EY. And it all correlates, right? They played on the first power play. They play on 5-on-5. So if Tage gets a goal and Tuck is in on it and Skinner's in on it, boom, that's +250. It's just, I think the only way to probably find some value tonight on a 2-game slate, and that's really all we're looking at. I think that's it for me. I'm just looking at the 2 top lines in Buffalo and in Montreal. If you are doing a same game parlay with some shot props and you wanted a third in this game, it would be Rasmus Dahlin. He is juiced at -180. But if you went Dahlin, Thompson, and Caulfield, that pays out 3-1. All right. Giddy up. Morning, boys. Die Hard MMA podcasts. Good morning. Love to have you. Love having you in here. Okay, next game on the board. Oh, I thought it was the Kings in action, man. I'm out to lunch here.
It is.
It is the Kings in action. This isn't even... What are we doing here on this show? It is the New York Rangers and the Los Angeles Kings.
Only 2 things. The show will be easy. No problem. This is what happens when good teams don't prepare for bad teams. Same thing. We're just a couple bats, and we're back.
Couple bats. The Kings are not in action, or the Kings are in action tonight, not the Penguins.
Yep. Rangers.
Anyways, this is in Los Angeles. Here we go. -105, -110 for the Rangers at PointsBet, and then we have the Kings at -105. You want to back them. Crazy stuff here today. And then we have a total of 6. That is correct. The total of 6 is correct. Okay, I'll let you take it away. What you like, what you dislike, who you got?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of the same, same guys in goal scoring for me. Kreider at plus 150, Zibanejad at plus 125, Kempe at 150, and Fiala at 205. Kempe is still shooting the puck like crazy, still playing the top power play. Fiala's playing on the top power play. Obviously, Kreider and Zibanejad playing on the top power play. And I like, when you want to get wild and there's only 2 games, you want to sprinkle some other stuff. An interesting thing I saw is Jimmy Vesey is playing on that right wing.
Yeah.
And the top line. He's not playing power play time. But if you're going to play with Zibanejad and Kreider, the puck could hit you and go in. That's just the reality of it. So I got him to score, and he is, listen, guys, you got to scroll. You got to scroll. I
love the odds. I'm in on it too.
You gotta really scroll down. I'm trying to find him.
He's plus 500.
Yeah, that's it. I'm trying to see if he's on DraftKings.
Plus 500. FanDuel has him at plus 580.
Plus 500
to score.
Nice.
Yeah.
Plus 500. A couple bucks, he could score easily. This is a good player. He's just kind of has never been able to fit in kind of wherever he's gone, but was highly touted. It was a guy that was supposed to come and play for the Nashville Predators and decided he didn't want to do that. Made a lot of people here mad, but I'm like, he's a kid and he doesn't want to live in Nashville. Like, he's good enough at hockey and he gets to choose.
Why would you want to live in Nashville? It's a fantastic city.
I didn't say he was smart. I just said he's a kid. Nashville's an amazing city. And, maybe if he came here originally, he'd be playing in the top 6 and things would be much different for him. But here we are. He's got plus 500 odds. I like Zibanejad maybe to score first at plus 950 and Kempe to score first at plus 1,100. So
we're on the same page here. Like, my goal scorers I have are Cole, Tage, Skinner, and I like Jimmy here in this spot at plus 580. I streamed it today in one of my hockey leagues because, as you know, with the schedule, right? Like, Monday and Wednesday is just jam packed. I was like, well, there's going to be a guy that I'm not going to play on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday or Saturday. So I swapped him out for Jimmy playing today. And he's got 2 points in his last 3 games. He did score on November 10th against Detroit and then also on November 3rd against Boston, but he's playing more than he did then. He's back-to-back games here with like 15-plus minutes. So he's not a huge, volume shooter, but he did get 3 shots in his last game. And he had a game against Detroit where he had 4 shots and then another one against Detroit where he had another 4 shots. So a couple games there with some moments, but you said it perfectly. Like, he has some scoring upside, but he's also getting an opportunity at 5-5 to play with 2 studs, and Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. I got Mika at over 3.5 shots. It's plus money. It's one that, we can get behind at decent odds as like a single bet. 8 shots in his last game, 4 in the one before that. He's had at least 4 shots in 4 of his past 5 games. So a matchup here against the LA Kings. And I love Kempe too. I just feel like Kempe is a little bit juiced. Minus 148 for Kempe. I do think he can get to it's just so tough, man. These shot props are really getting out of hand when it comes to the juice that you have to pay. But back-to-back games at 3+ shots, got 9 shots over that span. I'm seeing Adrian Kempe get dropped in leagues, minus 2% in Yahoo over the past little bit. I would hang tight, guys. He's still a good goal scorer. And things will turn around for him. I do believe that. You want to do a Bet365 thing? I would go Kreider, Zibanejad, and Adrian Kempe for shots. Kreider over 2.5, Mika over 3.5, and Kempe over 3.5. That one pays 4-1. So we got a shot parlay in New York and LA, Kreider, Mika, and Kempe. And then we have one between Tage and Cole. If you want to get greedy, you can put Darlene. You got a points parlay between Suzuki and I would go Suzuki, assist, Caulfield point, Doc point. Then you could take the Buffalo top line, Tage, Skinner, and Tuck. And if you wanted to do one in this game, I would probably just lean Rangers over Kings. I would just take the 2 studs in New York. It's not going to pay a ton, but you can go Kreider, Mika Zibanejad at plus 110 to have a point tonight. Each of them have a point, plus 110. Not too shabby. if there's a Kings line that you got Kempe there, I always sometimes look at your boy Arvidsson, 2.5 shots, or Trevor Moore. Trevor Moore, 2.5 shots is minus 130. That's not a bad. He's been okay, right? He seems to get at least 3 or 4 pucks on net almost every game.
Shoots the puck like crazy and plays, quite a few minutes because he's playing, special, not power play, but penalty kill. Is unbelievable skater. Really good player, man. Really, really good player.
Yeah, he is a good player. All right. That's kind of it. Mika Zibanejad plus 102 for an assist. I think that one's okay. If you really want to find some value on an assist, you take Kreider, even though he's the shooter, but Mika could score and Kreider can get the assist at plus 155. I may put that one in just because it's pretty good odds. Okay, I think that the Rangers win and I think the Habs win. I think if I'm leaning on an over on either of those games, it would probably be with the Habs and Sabres one, over 6.5, and then I don't think we'll see a ton of offense between the Rangers and the Kings, but I like the Rangers. I don't know, man. Like, they're inconsistent though, but I do like them tonight. Do you have a side, Rangers or LA?
Yeah, I like Rangers. I've liked them all year. For me, it just comes down to Shesterkin is starting to find his form again, and LA, like, they need to figure something out. Goaltending, Quick has not been good, and Peterson's been worse. So,
right. Okay, we'll look at the schedule tomorrow in just a touch. So get ready for that. EY, we'll just kind of run through some thoughts on tomorrow's big slate. But let's take a look at the expected goal leaders, 5 and 5, according to Natural Stat Trick. So you see on the bottom that in brackets is their actual like goals for at 5 and 5 per 60. The expected goals for takes everything kind of into consideration: shot attempts, scoring chances, shots on goal, high danger chances. So expected goals for at 5 and 5 per 60, according to Natural Stat Trick. You see the Devils up at the top, and they're also first in the NHL in goals for at 5 and 5 per 60. You see the Panthers here, the Senators, both teams inside the top 10, the Penguins as well. And then we start to see some teams that maybe a little bit unlucky. It just feels like the Hurricanes are always here, UI. They're always among the leaders. It's been years we've been talking about this team from an analytical standpoint. Possession numbers, Corsi 4, among the leaders in shot attempts and shots on goal and scoring chances and high danger chances, equality of chances at 5 and 5, always among the leaders. But yet they don't ever seem to be among the actual leaders in goals for. I know having Max Pacioretty return at some point would be a big boost to this squad. It just seems like it's a one-line team. When Svechnikov, it all seems like with Svechnikov, when TiVo is hurt, when Svech isn't with Aho is quiet. When Svech is with Aho, they both seem to, pick it up. Then they had Necas with Aho, and Svech was on the second line, and he was quiet, and then Necas was going. It's just, I don't know. I really like the squad. I really love their defense. I just don't know. They just give me a little bit of pause when it comes to their offensive firepower, even though they create a lot. You see the Lightning here, inside the top 10 in expected goals, just outside the top 10 in goals for the Golden Knights are there. And then you see the Rangers inside the top 10 in expected goals for, but 24th in the NHL in 5 and 5 goals. And then the Toronto Maple Leafs, who blew a third period lead last night and lost in overtime to the Islanders, 2.77 expected goals for EY inside the top 10, but 28th in the NHL in 5 on 5 goals. Any concerns? Maybe just I don't know. Any concerns at all with the Leafs, or you just feel like some of these guys will eventually turn it around? Their 5 and 5 play has been good. Eventually the pucks will, find the back of the net for them.
You want to believe that, but how many years can we believe that and it not happen? It's I feel like it's this, this group of players is maybe not the answer. There's a ton of superstar ability. There's a ton of highly paid and highly productive players. But in the end, losing games that they shouldn't lose, losing series that they shouldn't lose, not being able to get past the first round, whatever it is this group of players just does not seem to be like the group of players. And you can only bang your head against the wall for so long. And I think that stat is pretty glaring, right? Like, it's pretty glaring.
I think their bottom, I don't think their bottom six is as strong. Like, they're doing a great job of eliminating chances. They're playing good defensive hockey.
Not bad.
And they've
Yeah,
gotten
best
some
they've
good
probably had in
goaltending.
the last 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I think some of these things will turn around. Like their top six is still very lethal. John Tavares is having a really good season. Um, Matthews is obviously a stud, and Marner. These guys are fine, but I feel like their bottom six is not as lethal. How about the Rangers? Like the Rangers are a team here last year is kind of the same sort of deal. Like they generate a lot of offense. They started the year strong. They're putting like so many shots towards the goal, and then all of a sudden their offense seemed to dry up just a little bit. Mika's been great. Kreider's, highs and lows. Trocheck, good start for him, and then Panarin as well. But it seems like I'm waiting for the step forward for like Capo and Lafreniere, and I just don't see it.
And it could come, right? We're still early in the season, and it's unfortunate still with this 3-point system. The truth is the teams at the break at Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, those are the teams that are probably going to be in the playoffs, and everyone will be like, oh, well, what about St. Louis? St. Louis Blues was an anomaly, guys. It's not. That's rare. It doesn't happen.
Worst team in the league. They were the worst team in the league, man.
It hasn't happened in 50 years, right? Like it's not a thing that you can count on to happen. It doesn't happen. If you go through all the years, if you go through the last 15 years, the teams that are in a playoff spot at Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, quarter of the season, whatever you want to say, those are the teams that are going to be in the playoffs, pretty much. A couple teams that are right on the bubble could slide up. A couple of the teams right on the bubble of being in could slide out. But like if your team is in last place or second to last place, they're not playing in the playoffs. To jump over teams, 3 or 4 teams, is almost mathematically impossible because of the way the NHL has this scoring system with the overtime point and stuff. It makes it impossible. And I wish they would change it. I don't think they will, but
I'm going to, since you're talking about that, New Jersey, Carolina Islanders, we all feel like they're playoff squads, the Islanders too? They're third in the Metro.
I don't know.
I think they may be. Boston, Toronto, and Tampa, we all agreed that they're going to be playoff teams in the Atlantic.
Yep.
Right now, the two wildcard teams are Detroit and New York, and then you have Pittsburgh, Florida, and Montreal behind. Like, let's be honest, the Habs are not making the playoffs. Flyers are not making the playoffs. I don't think the Washington Capitals are going to make the playoffs. They've dealt with just so many injuries. I just think that they're in 7-10-3, 17 points. They got a lot of ground to make up right now, and they played more games than most teams. The Blue Jackets and the Sabres they're not playoff time. And I'm sorry, but your Sens, not a playoff squad. 6-11-1, another tough loss last night in San Jose. Just not a playoff team. They just don't have the defense. I'd say the Rangers get in and
Me too.
The Penguins get in, and that would mean that the Panthers don't get in or the Islanders don't get in. One of those two teams, the Panthers or the Islanders, don't get in. I feel like the Panthers are a playoff squad, and that would mean the Islanders are the odd man out. Who knows? Or Detroit, right? I think Detroit it's fine. They're doing some things, but I would say the Rangers or the Penguins get in or the Panthers get in over them. You would agree with that?
I think so, yeah. If I was to bet on it right now, that's what I would have. I mean, like Detroit, it's fun. I said Yzerman will right this ship. They're obviously in a way better spot now than they were last year. Next year, they'll be in an even better spot than they are this year. This team will continue to get better, continue to grow, and continue. But I mean, the reality is I don't. Ville Husso has been very good, but I don't know if I trust him yet. And they need scoring to come from somewhere else. It's one or two guys kind of doing it all. I think Bertuzzi is a good shot in the arm for them. The fact that he'll be able to play games in Canada will help him. Will help him and them. So yeah. I mean, I think if Detroit made it in the playoffs, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think if I was to bet on it, that they would slide out. Pittsburgh would slide in. Florida would slide in. And I think I'd probably have the Islanders on the outside looking in too.
In the West, Dallas, Colorado, and Winnipeg in the Central. The Winnipeg playing really good hockey, man. Really good hockey. 7-2 at home. They rattled off a win last night against Carolina. They gave up a big lead, and they still found a way to win that game. 7-2-1 in their last 10. And they don't even have Nikolai Ehlers. Like, that guy's going to return the lineup at some point. Right? Hellebuck has been great. Yeah, Hellebuck's been fantastic. And Kyle Connor was really quiet. Now he's coming. Yeah, for sure. for sure. And in the Pacific, Vegas, Los Angeles, and the surprise team for me is Seattle. Like, we thought that they were going to be a little bit better, but still, very surprising for me to see them at 10-5-3 with 23 points in the Pacific, just one back of the Kings for second. And then all of a sudden, the Blues, right? The Blues lose a bunch of games in the row. They're finished. Are they going to fire somebody? They're going to trade somebody. And now they've rattled off 7 straight wins. They're now 10-8. So before this winning streak, they were 3-8. Now they're 10-8, and they hold the first wildcard spot in the Western Conference, a 4-way tie with the Flames, the Oilers, and the Preds. The Wild have 18 points. I don't think we believe in Anaheim, Arizona, Vancouver, Chicago, or San Jose. But man, what a battle here for 2 wildcard spots. I'll just ask you right now, a lot can change. But out of these 5 teams, you got to pick 2. St. Louis, Calgary, Edmonton, Nashville, Minnesota. You got to pick 2 of those 5. St. Louis, Calgary, Edmonton, Nashville, Minnesota. Who's in?
I think Calgary would be a pick. And it would be out of Preds and Edmonton. And like with Edmonton, the goaltending, like it, dude.
Not good, man.
It's not good. It's not good.
It's
but
not
I know
good at
usually
all.
Saros is good. The Preds have been just so inconsistent. I mean, this is the team I watch the most. They'll come out one period and you're like, oh, okay, there they are. Then they go in, they come out after the scrape, and they turn into a team that doesn't know how to play hockey. It's been really frustrating as a diehard fan of this team. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it is. I think John Hines is a good coach. I believe John Hines is a good coach. I do. And when they're playing the way he wants them to aggressively, they're a good team. But then they let off the gas, and they don't have enough skill to let off the gas, right? Like they don't. Philip Forsberg is a great player, but when he's your undoubtedly best offensive player, you have to do all the other things to be competitive and win games. The big thing for them is they've got to really pressure players. They've got to skate and be relentless on every single puck, and sometimes they're not. Until they can get the whole team doing that, like a lot of guys do it. Jeannot does it every shift, every time he's on the ice. Mikael Granlund does it. You know, this new kid, this Yossi Parsonen guy, he's a player, man. He is a real player.
Yeah, he looks good.
With and without the puck, which you don't see, often. And you want to see this, like this is the same problem that they had with the Charm in Montreal. Like Caulfield started to not play very well, and then he put him on the 4th line. He's not playing on the power play. Like, that's not the player that he is. Usually Parsonen is a top 6 player. He's a power play player. That's the guy that you're going to want him to be. You can't play him in the bottom 6 and play him on the penalty kill. That's not what he does. You have other guys to do that. And John Hines put him right in, and trust him. He's out there, a minute left in a 1-goal game. He's playing on the power play, centering the power play. Like it's really cool to see. I think if they get everybody healthy, everybody right, and Saros continues, he's playing very well. They're giving up a ton of shots, and he's still playing very well. But I mean, if I was to bet right now, I would say Calgary and Edmonton, with Preds just on the outside. But I think the Preds could slide in and Edmonton slides out because of the goaltending.
I don't think Seattle's going to make it. I don't think Martin Jones is this good. That's it. That's what I truly believe. I think he's going through a bit of a hot stretch. I just don't think he's this good. It's nice to see him turn it around. No, right. He's like it's a small sample in LA. That was it. But 7-2-1 in their last 10. They're playing pretty good. They're playing really good on the road. 5-1-1. I would say the Oilers and the Flames get in. I'd say Seattle is out, and then it is a battle with St. Louis, Nashville, Minnesota in there. I would say that I still believe in the Wild probably, but it is really up to Fleury. He needs to come back there. It's going to be a battle for sure. Okay, these are the teams expected goals against. So we don't need to spend a lot of time here. These are the bottom teams in the NHL in terms of giving up offense as well. So you see the Ducks here. The Ducks are a team that we pick on all the time in terms of shot attempts and goals against. They're among the leaders in allowing everything, scoring chances, high danger chances. You see the expected goals. It's not all on Gibson. He can only do so much, guys.
That's
you
right.
See, they're among the top in expected goals against. And you see the Islanders here, they're second in expected goals against, but they're getting good goaltending. Ilya Sorokin is really saving them. The Oilers, right? We can blame Skinner. Skinner's been better than Campbell. We can sit here and blame Campbell all day long. But the truth is, the Oilers are third in the NHL in expected goals allowed at 5-5 per 60. They give up high quality chances. It's not all goaltending on this squad. They play high tempo hockey. They can score. We know that. But it's allowing a lot of quality chances. And they're not getting the saves. They are getting the saves in Philadelphia, but your boy Carter Hart, who you had as a top 10 goalie, is a great call by you. He's starting to come back down to earth over the past week and a half or so. He's let in a lot of rubber. He's gotten a lot of rubber against him, but he's let in a lot of goals. I think his last 4 games have been awful. It's not totally on him, but I think, you're going to start to see him regress a little bit. It's just the Flyers give up a lot of chances, as you see on the board. They're lucky to be 22nd in goals against, considering their top 5 in expected goals against. The Coyotes, no surprise. The Blue Jackets right there, no surprise. The Blackhawks, the Sens in there, the Canucks, and then the Canadians as well, not really getting the goaltending. Let's look at the high danger chances for where a majority of the goals happen. Again, this is courtesy of Natural Stat Trick. High danger chances for shot attempts inside the slot at 5-5 per 60. These are your leaders, the Lightning, the Devils, the Sens. So the Sens, again, they play to a lot of overs. Yeah, I mean, they generate a lot of chances. DeBrincat's been quiet here to start. I view him as a buy low candidate. Batherson and Kachuk and Giroux and Stützle. They got some nice players. Unfortunately, Josh Norris may miss the entire season. Get Shabbat back here soon. But they generate a lot. They just give up a lot. The Panthers, the Knights, the Hurricanes, the Leafs, the Stars, pretty surprising, right? We viewed them last year as a one-line team. They're getting contributions from Sagan and Ben this season. Mason Marchment, a nice little ad. The Rangers in here, not getting a lot of goals, but again, getting a lot of quality chances at 5-5, and then the Edmonton Oilers. On the flip side, again, much of the same as I showed when expected goals against. You see the Ducks, the Islanders here. Again, Ilya Sorokin is really saving them. The Islanders are not the same old stingy 5-5 team. No. Barry Trotz is no longer there, and you're starting to see that. Arizona, Philadelphia, Ottawa. Surprised to see Dallas here inside the top 5 in expected goals, on both sides. The Stars inside the top 10 offensively, high danger chances, and inside, I guess, the bottom 10 here. Jake Ottinger, obviously fantastic. The Habs, the Jets, you mentioned Connor Hellebuck, right? He's been fantastic. A lot of high quality chances against for the Jets. The Avs, pretty surprising to see the Avs here. Of course, they've gone through some adversity this season, missing guys, inside their top 6 and their bottom 6, and Bowen Byram and Samuel Girard and things like that. But the Avs are going to be just fine. But interesting to see them inside the top 10 in quality chances allowed. Any takeaways from any of this stuff, in your opinion?
I mean, it doesn't surprise you. These are, other than Tampa is definitely surprising, like you said.
These are expected against, yeah.
The teams that give up shots, are often near the bottom of the league unless they have miraculous goaltending. It just comes down to mathematics, right? Like, you're going to give up chances. That you're saying you want to blame Edmonton or point at Edmonton and say, it's all the goaltending. It is some of the goaltending, but when Jack Campbell and an unknown guy in Skinner are the guys that you're relying on to stop 35 shots every night, what do you expect to happen?
Right. Yeah.
It's
yeah. Absolutely agree. Timothy Jones, good morning, gentlemen. We're just about to wrap up here. We talked about the 2-game slate earlier. We gave some picks, some shot props. We have some fun same game point parlay stuff. We called some goals. We can recap some goals there if you want to. And then we have our boy Hammer, the Hammer in the house. Devils, of course, up there. Yeah, we talked about the Devils. They're up like first, second, or third in every single 5-5 category that I care about. Shot attempts and shots and scoring chances, high danger, expected goals. We mentioned they're number 1 in expected goals and number 1 in goals for at 5-5 per 60. I did not see Yandel's comments. Did you touch on them earlier? I thought you heard you mumble, and then the Hammer mentions, thinks they can't keep this up and doesn't even think that they're that they're going to make the playoffs. Again, we talked about them a couple weeks ago. When I look at their roster, I see them very weak on the left side. Honestly, like I know Woods played great, and Sharon Govich I have a soft spot for, and Tatar is a great 5-and-5 player, but they're deep down the middle. They really are, with Heischer and Hughes and Mercer, and they have really good defensemen, man. They have stay-at-home defensemen like Siegenthal, like guys that just get in shooting lanes, great sticks. They do little things, and they're getting some decent goaltending. So I think at this point we have to call them a playoff team. But I will be skeptical of them in the playoffs when they get into an actual, 7-game series. You always hear me say you learn how to lose before you learn how to win with a young team and things like that. And they'll have to go toe-to-toe, with a Hurricane squad or a Ranger squad. But I think at this point, you kind of have to view them as a playoff squad. We got a couple minutes left here, EY. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the massive schedule for tomorrow. As I mentioned off the top, EY is going to join me on Mean Streets tomorrow, so we will have some plays and some shot props and some goals on Mean Streets. We won't be here on Thursday for Dangle Betselli. We'll return on Tuesday. But if you have any questions, guys, by all means, hit them up. Timothy says, still listening, even though my son, Matt, isn't working with you guys for PGA anymore. Matt Jones. Okay. Yes. Father of Matt Jones, Timothy. We do appreciate you. Matt's had a lot of great things to say about you. Matt is fantastic. We're sad to see him go. I know he's got some stuff. We could see him return to FTM in the future. Hopefully that is the case. But Matt is great, and we appreciate you, Timothy, hanging out with us. Anything EY on the schedule tomorrow? Did you have a chance to take a look at it? We have the Bruins and the Panthers. We have a definite mismatch. Carolina is minus 500 favorites against the Arizona Coyotes. We have the Jets and the Wild, the Leafs and the Devils. So the Devils are going to go for the franchise record tomorrow on home ice against the Leafs. Your Preds are in Nashville. We have the Flames and the Pens. We have the Oilers in New York to take on the Islanders. Man, there's a lot of games. Tomorrow night. My goodness, the Sens and the Golden Knights as well.
There's tons of good ones. I mean, like the Toronto New Jersey game, I'm really interested in. I think New Jersey does it. Toronto's been they're just so inconsistent again. Both my teams are just so inconsistent, and it's frustrating not kind of knowing what team is going to show up. Pittsburgh Calgary could be interesting. Calgary's starting to figure it out, and Pittsburgh kind of seems to be back on track again after a bit of a. I don't think anybody, including us, was talking about that enough. Like I think they lost 7 games in a row.
Yeah, I know.
Jeez.
And Tristan Jarry was like just awful.
Awful.
But it was mostly like defensive lapses in their game. Like there was a moment where I think
it was strange.
There was a game against the Oilers where the Oilers had like 40 shot attempts or something in the second period and had like 4 goals in a couple minutes. But yeah, that's yeah, there's been a lot of massive losing streaks and then turning it around with some winning streaks like the Blues. We do have to get out of here, but how about Huberdeau? We talked about Sutter, putting Huberdeau on that third line with Backlund. He scored a goal last night. He looks close to the Florida Huberdeau, which I don't think we'll see at all this year, that 100-point season, but it looks like Sutter may have found something there, putting him with a strong two-way forward. More known for his defensive abilities than his offensive abilities, and Mikhail Backlund there. So Huberdeau had a big goal last night, 4 shots on goal. He was plus 140, I think, for 3 shots. I was thinking about it, but I shot away. Okay, way out. Your goal scorers, the list isn't as long, but give it to the folks.
Nope, I got Caulfield, Doc, Tuck, and Tage Thompson. In the Rangers LA game, I've got Kreider, Zibanejad, Kempe, and Fiala. We're going 8 for 8.
Woo-hoo. I got Cole, Tage, Skinner, VC, Kempe. I'm doing Tage and Cole in a same game parlay, 3.5 shots each at plus 155. I know they're both juiced, but I both think they get to 4 shots. I'd lean Tage as a single. Mika's my single, plus 100 for 4 shots. Trevor Moore for 3 shots at minus 128. I'm going to do some same game parlay stuff here. I mentioned the Habs line. You get Suzuki for an assist, Caulfield and Doc for a point. I like Doc for an assist at plus 104. I like Kreider for an assist at plus 130, I believe. I have Tage, Cole, and Darlene for all shots in a same game parlay. I'm going to go with the Buffalo top line in the same game parlay, Tuck, Skinner, and Tage for a point. I'm going to take Mika and just Kreider for a point at plus 110. And I like both of these guys to hit their shot prop in a same game parlay as well. Maybe put Adrian Kempe in that one. And then away you go. Appreciate you guys. Again, a light night. We'll be back next Tuesday, but check out Mean Streets tomorrow. Eric Young will pop on. He'll have about 15 to 25 goal scorers for you guys in what will be a quick little 10-minute segment, and I can't wait. Enjoy the hockey tonight, guys, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good one. Cheers.